In this lecture, we are going to refine the configuration file to help us debug WordPress. As we discussed before, WordPress is not configured to help us debug issues. If we want help, we need to enable debug mode. At the moment, I have the wp-config.php file opened. Open it in your editor if you haven't already. The configuration file does not contain all the settings mentioned in the documentation. If an option is missing, WordPress will set a default value. Some settings are completely optional. Scroll to the bottom of the file. It's recommended to add additional configuration settings above this comment. We're going to turn on debug mode. It's the first step we should always take when working on a new project. Let's define a constant called wp-debug with the define function. The value for the constant will be true. Make sure your code matches mine. The words wp-debug should be written with uppercase letters. Just like that, we're ready to start coding. If we make a mistake, we'll be able to view the error. This behavior is great for a development environment. There's another setting worth adding. Below the wp-debug variable, define another constant called wp-disable fatal error handler. The value for this constant should be true. PHP has a special type of error called a fatal error. Fatal errors will cause the server to produce a blank page, which may not be desirable. WordPress has implemented a feature to produce a friendlier page if there's a fatal error in our theme. It's better than viewing a blank page. By default, this setting is turned off. If you would like to enable this behavior, this constant should be set to true. There are dozens of additional settings that we could add. When the time comes, we'll tweak our application's configuration. For now, we're not going to configure WordPress further. The default settings will be suitable for our project. Changing the behavior of WordPress is as simple as changing the values of these constants. We're finished with configuring the wp-config file. Feel free to explore the documentation for more information. For our purposes, setting the wp-debug constant to true is more than enough to get started. There are additional settings that we can add for development, but we'll revisit those settings in future lectures. Let's continue our journey in the following lecture.